Hello, it's Solomon here. This is a review of Payback 2020 pay-per-view. I will be giving my thoughts and opinions on the matches that were on the card of this pay-per-view, and I will begin my review with the first match of the card of this pay-per-view. The first match of the card of this pay-per-view was the United States Championship match. Apollo Crews was defending his US title against Bobby Lashley, who was accompanied by Shelton Benjamin and MVP as part of the Hurt Business faction. They were sitting at ringside to support their friend Bobby Lashley. The match was underway and both men were delivering a combination of moves on each other. And then Crews hit a standing moonsault to Lashley on the outside of the ring. And then Benjamin and MVP, representing the Hurt Business, were approached Crews until Lashley came and got hold of him. And then both men were back into the ring before the count of 10. At one point in the match, Lashley launched Crews into the top rope of the ring to inflict some damage on him. Then both men were outside of the ring and Lashley launched Crews into the ring post. Then he brought him back into the ring and executed a dominator should I say, on Crews. Lashley went for a cover only for Crews kick out. Then both men were delivering a combination of moves on each other, and Crews hit a standing moonsault on Lashley, then went for the cover only for him to kick out. Then Drew hit about 2 German suplexes on Lashley. Then Lashley went up on the top rope to do a frog splash. He went for a cover only for him to kick out once again. So Lashley hit a heavy move on Crews, and then he waited a few moments until he was up to apply a full Nelson on him. After a few seconds, Crews submitted, and Bobby Lashley is your new United States champion. After the match ended, the Hurt Business posed for a few photos of the new United States champion until Crews spoiled the celebration by taking out Lashley. He then vowed he would retain his title back, so I believe there's going to be a rematch soon. So I thought this was an okay match overall, and it was good to see that Lashley won his championship with a clean finish. So yeah, that's my overall thoughts on this match. The second match of the card was Big E going one-on-one against Sheamus. Both men made the entrance and the match was underway. Both men had each other in a combination of holding moves, and at one point Sheamus had Big E on the ropes and hit his chest with some right hands. Then Sheamus was in cruise control of the match and delivered some stomps to his hamstring and applying a submission hold on him. Then both men were exchanging moves against each other, and at one point Big E speared Sheamus through the ropes of the ring to bring him outside. Then both men were back in the ring and Sheamus had Big E in the submission hold and then hit him with a high knee and then went for a cover on Big E to kick out. Then Sheamus was preparing himself to do a bro kick on Big E, and as soon as he did, Big E countered into a powerbomb and hit his beginning finisher on him. He went for the cover. 1, 2, 3. Big E is your winner. So yeah, this was a pretty straightforward match, and it was pretty straightforward, and it wasn't really like much of a shocking experience. Like it was basically just like a simple match for Big E to prove that he's good in singles competition. Although at the moment he's not with his two companions, Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods, because they're out because of injury. So when they come back, until they come back, he's going to be doing the singles thing for a while. So he's going to be doing that for the same time. So yeah, it was an okay match. So the third match of the card was Matt Riddle going one-on-one with King Corbin. Both men made their entrances as soon as Matt Riddle entered the ring and then a signature taunt. Corbin decided to clothesline him, and then the referee asked Riddle if he was able to continue the match, and he said yes. And the referee rang the bell and the match was underway. So Corbin went straight to work on Riddle as he delivered some right hands to him, and he brought him outside of the ring to deliver more right hands to him on the announce table. Then he brought him back into the ring and went for a cover, at least Riddle's kick out. Then Riddle had a Corbin in a sleeper hold and was trying his best to neutralize his opponent. However, Corbin managed to eventually break out of the hold. Then he did his usual way of re-entering the ring and hit Riddle with a clothesline. He then went for a cover only for him to kick out. Then both opponents were setting the pace of the match, and Riddle was building momentum into the match as he delivered a combination of moves on Corbin. And then he went for a cover only for him to kick out. That didn't prove to be much. It didn't prove to be enough to win the match in some cases. Then Riddle had Corbin in a triangle submission hold, and then he managed to break out of it. Then Riddle hit his bro to sleep finisher on Corbin, and then he went up on the top turnbuckle to perform the flying bro on Corbin. He then went for the cover. 1, 2, 3. Matt Riddle was your winner. So yeah, my overall thoughts this match was pretty okay. It was pretty decent, and it gives Matt Riddle a good push in the company, and it shows like his capabilities in the ring. So it seems like it was a decent match, but it wasn't really a classic in all honesty, but it was still an okay match. So yeah, that's probably what I'll say about that. The fourth match of this pay-per-view was the Women's Tag Team Championship match, and it was Sasha Banks and Bayley defending tag team titles against Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax. It should be noted that Baszler and Jax were reluctant to be working together as tag teams, as these two were not the best of friends of each other, so it was interesting to see how things would pan out in this match. The match was underway, and Baszler and Banks were the first two women in the ring to start the match, as they both delivered some striking kicks to each other. Then Baszler was about to stomp on Banks' shoulder, only for her to evade it and tagging her partner Bayley into the match. Bayley hit a couple of moves on Baszler until she tagged in her partner Sasha into the match. Then Sasha had Baszler in an abdominal stretch and done the 3 Amigo suplex in respect to her hero Eddie Guerrero. Then Sasha was on the outside of the ring and she got herself into the hands of Baszler's partner Jax, and she swung her repeatedly into the fan barricade. Then Jax was tagged into the match by her partner Baszler. Baszler hit a high knee on Jax, and then she tagged in her partner Sasha to do a double team move on her. Sasha then delivered some right hands to Jax, including a low drop kick, and then she decided to tag in her partner Bayley into the match. Bayley then attempted a submission hold on Jax, but she managed to break hold of the move and tagged in her partner Baszler. Then Baszler hit a combination of strikes on both Bayley and Sasha. Baszler was saying to her partner, "We could win." This will probably mean that she is encouraging her to participate into the match. Then Jax attempted a move on Sasha, only for her to counter it by planting her face into the mat, and then she tagged in her partner Bayley to perform a high elbow from the top turnbuckle, and then Sasha tagged herself in to perform a frog splash on Jax. She went for a cover, only for her to kick out without them realizing it. Baylor tagged herself into the match when Sasha and Bayley were doing a double team move on Jax. Then she went into the ring and applied a double submission move on both Bayley and Sasha. This would prove to be the winning moment in the match, as she made Bayley tap out, which would make Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax as a new women's tag team champions. So yeah, after the match, Charlie Caruso interviewed the winning tag team, and they seem to claim that they are now best friends with each other since they won their tag team titles. Bayley and Sasha were left in disbelief. So I thought this was a very good match, and it was the best women's match on this pay-per-view I saw, and I thought it was pretty decent. So yeah, that's my overall thoughts this match. So that's what I thought about it. The fifth match of the pay-per-view was Keith Lee going one-on-one with Randy Orton. This was Keith Lee's first ever pay-per-view match as part of the main roster, as I am aware he was previously on NXT, so I know about Keith Lee. He was going up against a veteran in the company, which was Randy Orton, a 13-time world champion. This was a big test for him in this match he was in. The match was underway and both men were exchanging a couple of moves on each other. At one point, Lee hit a crossbody on Orton, launching out of the ring, and then he came back inside the ring and hit a few chops on the chest of Lee, making him more angry and frustrated. Then he hit a couple of moves on Orton. The both men were outside near the announce table, and then Orton launched Lee onto the announce table. Lee was back in the ring and Orton went for a cover, only for him to kick out. Then Lee launches Orton out of the ring near the announce table. Then Lee launched Orton onto the announce table. Then Orton was in a position to DDT Lee on the second rope, and he done just that. While Lee was down, Orton was preparing himself to hit an RKO on Lee. He attempted an RKO, but Lee countered it into a spirit bomb. He then went for the cover. 1, 2, 3. Keith Lee should win this match. So yeah, so my overall thoughts this match. This was a good debut match for Keith Lee on his first pay-per-view in the company, as I have seen him on NXT, and he's already been the NXT champion before. So he was previously the NXT champion before. So going into this pay-per-view match, I expected expectations from him, and it was shocking to see that he got a win over Randy Orton. So I never really expected that, to be honest. But from what he showed in this match, it's really good to see. So yeah, it's pretty good. The sixth match of this pay-per-view was a tag team match. Rey Mysterio and his son Dominic Mysterio were going up against Seth Rollins and Buddy Murphy. Dominic has already shown what he's capable of doing in the ring when it comes to wrestling matches, so you should not be surprised to see him in the ring, performing in the ring now. The match was underway, and before the match started, Dominic charged up to Seth Rollins and took him out and his partner, including a 619 on the bottom rope to Murphy. Then all competitors were in the ring, and Dominic and Rollins were the first two men starting this match, and both men exchanged a few moves on each other, with Dominic putting on a decent display against Rollins until he decided to tag in his partner Murphy into the match. Dominic then hit a couple of moves on Murphy, including a drop kick, and then he made the tag to his dad Ray into the match. Dominic and Ray then hit a double team move on Murphy, and then Ray went for the cover, only for him to kick out. Then Murphy was at his partner's corner, and Ray didn't have much nice words for Rollins, as he wanted him in the match, and Murphy made a tag to his partner, and Rollins was in the match. Ray and Rollins delivered some right hands to each other, and eventually Rollins tagged in his partner, Murphy, into the match, and then Rollins threw Ray out of the ring, and he landed onto the knees of Murphy. Murphy then brought Ray back into the ring and went for a cover only for him to kick out. Ray then eventually tagged in his son Dominic into the match. Then it was Dominic and Rollins as the two men in the ring now, and they exchanged some moves with each other until Dominic made a tag to his dad, and he started delivering combination moves on runs including a moonsault. He then went for the cover only for Rollins to kick out. Rollins and Murphy prevented Dominic from helping his dad by throwing him into the fan barricade. Rollins and Murphy were intended to perform a double team move on Ray when Murphy accidentally hit his own tag team partner instead of Ray. Ray then set up Murphy on the ropes and tagged in his son Ray, and Ray made sure Rollins had no involvement as Dominic hit his 619 on Murphy. Then he went for the frog splash and for a cover. 1, 2, 3. Dominic and Rey Mysterio are your winners. So after the match ended, Ray and his son Dominic happily celebrated their victory, while Rollins didn't look too happy with his partner Murphy as he was in disgust. So yeah, I thought this was a good tag team match, and I think Dominic is good when it comes to tag team matches. So if you can find a good partner to team up with, then Dominic has the potential to be one of the best in the business. So that's my thoughts on this match. Right, so the final match of the card was the WWE Universal Championship match, being defending the triple threat match. The Fiend was defending his Universal title against Roman Reigns and Braun Strowman. There's already been a week of build-up prior to this match, so all I knew going into this match is Roman Reigns is now associating himself with Paul Heyman. Yes, Paul Heyman, the guy who was previously Brock Lesnar's advocate for many years until he left the company recently. So yeah, when the Fiend was making his entrance to the ring, Strowman came and attacked him and wasting no time in having the title match underway. Immediately then, both men were outside of the ring, and the Fiend put Strowman right through the announce table. Alexa Bliss appeared to be watching this match closely backstage, and the Fiend picked up his mallet from underneath the ring, and then Strowman threw a chair at the Fiend. The Fiend then brought Strowman into the fan fencing and used his mallet on him. Then both men were brawling on the entrance ramp. Then Strowman launched himself onto the Fiend of the stage. Then both men were back in the ring as Strowman was about to launch himself off the top rope to Strowman, and then the Fiend came up and done a devastating superplex which entirely destroyed the whole ring. What a holy crap moment that was. After that, Roman Reigns came out with Paul Heyman, and then he signed the contract, which meant he was officially part of the title match, and he made his way to the ring with a steel chair. He went for a cover twice on the Fiend, but he kicked out on both falls. He went for a cover on Strowman, but he managed to kick out himself. Reigns then hit a few chair shots to Strowman, and they went for the cover again, only for Strowman to kick out once again. The Fiend done a mandible claw on Reigns, and he broke out of it with a low blow. Then Reigns speared Strowman in the ring and went for the cover. 1, 2, 3. Roman Reigns is now Universal Champion. So, yeah, my thoughts on this main event was pretty good, as there were some good spots in this match, like when Strowman went through the announce table, and the moment when the ring broke. So I thought this was a good match, championship match, to close the show, and we'll see how the relationship is between Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman for the time being. So yeah, that's my thoughts on this match. So my overall thoughts this pay-per-view was pretty mediocre, as I only liked about 2 matches on the show. The 2 matches I liked were Rey Mysterio and Dominic Mysterio versus Seth Rollins and Buddy Murphy. The other match I liked was the WWE Universal Championship match, triple threat match. The one thing I'm interested to see is how Roman Reigns' relationship with Paul Heyman will develop over the coming months, as I have only seen them together for 1 week only, and I'm more used to seeing Paul Heyman when he's with Brock Lesnar, who I have to say I'm quite disappointed that he decided to not renew his contract, as I did want to see him back in the company soon. So that's my overall thoughts on this pay-per-view, and thank you for watching my review. My next review will be on the AEW pay-per-view All Out, which should be out next week, so take care and goodbye.